back. I run the show and travel YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. My name's Graham, bro. What's your name again?
I just go by Jaxie online.
Okay, I'll just call you Jaxie then. Cool. So where in Canada are you from? I can definitely
I'm
tell
from
you
Brit.
got the Canadian accent.
It's noticeable. Yeah, no, I'm from British Columbia.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I come from more up north where it's a lot more rural up here. So I'm not used to a lot of city life and all that. But like I'm very like I keep up with a lot of what's going on in Canada right now, and I keep up with a lot of what's going on in the States as well. I try to keep myself very informed because it's my country, and
Yeah,
if I don't know what's going on in my own country, then my any debates or any arguments I make about it is completely flawed.
I agree with you there. What do you think about what I was saying? Did it bother you, or did you agree with it, or what do you think about
The
the
point
whole
about Canada,
immigration system? Huh?
it's the point. I think it's a great point you made because like I take it from me. Like I come from Canada, so I know what Canada is like. I know um I know what's going on in Canada, and the ability to know what's going on in Canada. Sorry, I'm blabbering on a bit. No, it's societal collapse. The way I look at it is that it's a form of societal collapse because what it is it's religious takeover. You have X number of people that believe in a totally different religion than the country they're coming into. The situation that you see arises is that there's not enough people that believe in what the country was formed on, and then um, what I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, sorry, I'm blabbering a bit because I am going to sleep soon, so I'm not trying to
All good, all good.
yeah. But the point I'm trying to make, is like when you have X number of people that form this country and form this country on union and form it on religion, for example, like Christianity. Like, I'm mostly Christian. Like I'm sort of figuring out where I am with that. But like I go to Sundays and I go and preach about Jesus in the Bible. Um, so I try to promote the idea of like Jesus is king, and my country was built on that. Like when Canada was formed, it was a mixture of Christian and Roman Catholic, and what I'm seeing now is for example in my town. I've lived in my town, my city, for about 7 years now, and when I first came here, it was a very close knit Christian community. I think we're maybe only 10,000 people at most, and in the past 4 years, we've had a 5,000 person up spike. So just 5,000 people just appeared out of nowhere. Don't know where. They just appeared. And now we have probably more Sikh people here than there are of what there was before. Before the primary, like we were mostly a mix of Caucasian, Black, and Native. A lot of them were, a lot of them were Christian. A lot of them were of the Native religion that exists in our town. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you're familiar with how Native religion works in Canada, but a lot of them are very close knit. So, like the natives here believe in certain gods that they wouldn't in other towns here. Um, and nowadays, like you go around, like on my street here, just last night there was some sort of gathering of Sikh people, and I think about 30 cars were completely covering every single house on our road for one house, one gathering. It's I've never had any problem with a lot of like the Sikh, like I don't have problems with the Sikh religion and all that. It's what I have a problem with is how it's more of a religious takeover within our country, where they're increasing the population of people that believe in opinion A by bringing them into our country, instead of letting it develop within the country naturally. I 100% believe in opinion A and opinion B should exist. Like there should be people that believe in liberal views, and there should be people that believe in conservative views. What's happening though is they're taking people that believe in liberal views and just planting them inside instead of letting it grow naturally within the country. And I see that as a problem. I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
see that as a problem too. Maybe some people can say, "Oh, this is racist," what I'm saying, yada yada. But I'm not a racist person. Like, I don't care what race, what religion you are, but just my own opinions. I understand the U.S. particularly is like, a multicultural country, but I believe, for example, I believe the majority of Italy should be mostly Italians. I believe the majority of Spain should mostly be Spaniards. I believe the majority of Germany should be mostly German people. Maybe people can say, oh, that's racist. I would call that nationalistic. I don't want, the country to be invaded by, third worlders, especially if they're illegal immigrants. That's even a bigger problem to me, honestly. I have no problem with legal immigration, but like when you're invading towns and such and you're an illegal immigrants, like I don't know if Canada, most of these Sikh people, I honestly don't know if most of these Sikhs are coming legally or illegally, but all I noticed is I visited like Toronto and up there in the mountains, Blue Mountain Resort. I went to and I went skiing there, and I noticed like the Canadian people are the minorities, like in a lot of parts of Canada. I don't know how it is in BC, in British Columbia, but at least in like near Toronto and stuff like that, the Canadians are like the minority. It seems like it. Like at least to the places I went, like that's like unsettling to me. Like I wasn't expecting like I wasn't expecting to basically be like I didn't think I was driving into Little India. Like I didn't think I was flying into a town that was called Little India. Like I didn't see a sign that said like it's like if it was called Chinatown or something, yeah, I'd expect a lot of Chinese or something. But it's not called Little India. It's called Toronto. Like it just was not what I was expecting at all. Like, I would expect more like blacks and white people and some natives and stuff like that. But like when I just went there and it was like all Sikhs and all like Indians and like all these other people, even some Pakistani, I just was not really expecting that, and like I was just like, what the hell? And not to mention like a lot of the bathrooms were pretty dirty, like very very dirty. And I know
Yes.
the majority of the people that were going to these bathrooms were the Sikhs and whatnot. And my mom also said that even the women there, they don't flush the toilet. It's very disgusting and dirty in
I
the
don't want to.
bathroom
I don't mean to
specifically.
interrupt, but a prime example too is like in workforces right now, like where I live, a lot of blue collar jobs are very prominent. Like I'm from the West Coast. The East Coast is where the major problem is, but the major problem is actually not what lies in Sikh. Like a lot of the Sikh people are coming to the West Coast because India to Canada. You just go over by plane or by boat. What I'm seeing in the East Coast, actually, the biggest problem is Islam there. A lot of people who are coming to the East Coast are coming and preaching Islam and preaching like Sharia law, and they're trying to enforce it in the East Coast of Canada. Like in Ontario, they are literally trying to enforce Sharia law in the streets. It is, and also in France too. It just came back to me though, but it's happening in France as well. That person you had on before, something that you guys should have covered is the enforcement of Sharia law in France. It is currently happening right now. But back to the point I was going to make though about workforces though. In Canada, we have, like I said, in my part of Canada, we have like a lot of very prominent blue collar jobs. Um, and in these blue collar jobs, they're based on unions, usually is how it runs. Um, and in my union, basically seniority is everything. Like if you have more seniority than person A, like your person B, and you have more seniority in person A, you get the job before them. That's how unions have worked for as long as they've existed, right? In my job, it's like I said, it's a lot of like hard labor. Higher paying jobs are being taken by people that have like like 3 weeks of experience. I've been there for about 2 years, right? I haven't gotten any single bit of training because every single person who has the jobs that I want are on what are called permanent positions, which is where they take bids on positions and they stay at that station or whatever part of that it is. 90% of them are either working on visas or have just shown up in the past 3 weeks.
So are they
And
illegal immigrants? A lot of them, or are they coming legally? Is there like something where they can come legally? Like,
the
I'm
term the
wondering, are these
term
illegals, or how the hell are they getting there?
the term between legality when it comes to immigration between in Canada is very different in America because the way that they just get let in here would be illegal in America. But it is completely legal here. It is completely legal because the government made the methods of legality, like the methods of legality to coming and immigrating to Canada, completely different in the past 10 years. That was done with Trudeau, and it is never going to change with Mark Carney, who is our current prime minister. I've had, like me personally, I've never had any problem with the people that have worked there. The only problem that I have is that they are being given free jobs that are like 40 US an hour. Like it's a very high paying union. It's a
Yeah, that's
very, very
crazy.
union.
That's
And
like DEI in the U.S. where they give, not to interrupt you, but DEI. It's like when they give blacks, gays, anyone that's like, minority, the jobs before
exactly.
the people that have been working there for a very long time.
Like yeah, like I don't want to give too much about myself out, like because we're on live stream, but like I work for one of the largest lumber providing companies in the entire world. Like we produce the whole world's lumber, and there's very lackluster like running mills in the range of where I live now. And the one that I work at, like I said, it's very high paying because it's a very rare experience. Like the starting wage is like 32 US an hour now, and the highest you can pull up to if you're like a charge hand is like 48 something an hour now, which is absurd. Um, and like I said, the way that unions have worked forever, the ways that unions should be worked is like, oh, this person has more seniority, they get this job because they've worked harder for it and they've worked longer for it. These people don't work for their jobs. They just show up, they're given the better jobs, and then they get better pay than all of us. And a lot of times they're inexperienced, so they screw up whatever job they're doing because they weren't put through the basis process. I had to train somebody just a few weeks ago on one of the starting machines in our mill because he was immediately put into a high paying like heavy machine right off the get-go without any experience. He has, and I don't have that. I don't have that training, by the way. I don't have the high paying jobs that he does, and yet I'm still training him on the basics. So he has more training than me, but I still have to abide by, oh, he doesn't know anything about any of the like base experience
Yeah,
within
that
our.
doesn't sound fair. That doesn't sound fair. But
It's
guys,
not.
hit
It's
that
not
like
fair at all.
button, subscribe, drop some super chat. Sorry to interrupt you.
No worries, man. No worries. Yeah. Um. Yeah, it's just it never affected me too much because I only ever saw it in the cities. I only ever saw it in urban places. Like I said, I'm a rural person, so I don't like I've been to Vancouver once in my life and I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave the entire time I was there. I was literally just there to pick up like shit from IKEA and I wanted to leave. The first place I went to, like I had to go through all of Vancouver, but I have a friend who lives there, and I asked him if he can just take me around because it's been many years since I've seen him, and I wanted to catch up and we just go find somewhere to eat. And the whole time I'm there, it's like every single sign I pass by. I don't know what section we were in. It was like I forget the name of it, but just every single sign we passed by was not English. There was nothing English there. Every second person was not an English speaking person that we would meet, and like it's absurd the literal takeover that you're witnessing in urban places, especially Toronto, because Toronto is one of the biggest cities in all of North America, and it's got X number of people who are trying to like enforce Sharia law in Toronto. The same thing is happening in the UK right now. If you look in the UK, I can even pull up an actual article. Sorry, it's not an article. It's a post that I found that leads to an article. about an Islamist group that is gathering and literally talking about like Islam taking over the UK, and they're actually stating and quoting and admitting to like an Islamic takeover of the UK. And now it is happening in Canada too. The entire UK Commonwealth. You're seeing it here, you're seeing it in the UK, and I guarantee you're going to see it in Australia too. I guarantee it. And Australia is going to be an interesting story because 90% of Australia is just empty land. Um, but like you're seeing it happen in our urban regions of Canada right now.
Yeah, it makes you think who is pushing all this bullshit. Like, it can't possibly be the same in every country that all these governments are just agreeing, yeah, let's let all the illegal immigrants in. Like, I
Yeah.
understand in Europe and the EU countries that the EU is pushing for all European countries to let the illegal immigrants in, or whatever you want to call them, illegal, undocumented immigrants, invaders, whatever you want to call them. But I don't understand like how it's so similar. And also in the UK, they had the same thing the US was doing. The US during Biden's years, they were letting illegal immigrants come stay at hotels that cost $300, $400, $500 a night for free for months on end. Like U.S. citizens can't afford to stay at these hotels for a month long. Like it is insane. Like how are they letting illegal immigrants stay here for that long? And it's weird because it's the same thing that happened in the U.S. Now they're letting these illegals stay in hotels in the U.K. Like it's two different governments. How are they having all these similarities with illegal immigration? Like it makes you think: is it like the global economic forum? Is someone incentivizing these countries with money, or what is going on? Also, someone dropped a super chat. What does try to enforce Sharia law look like functionally? Citing to actual litigation and examples of state enforcements and punishments under Sharia law.
Let me read that here. Setting into actual litigation example of state enforced punishments under Sharia law. It's not exactly happening in Canada within the law right now. It's more happening in the UK. But we're starting to see it be pulled into Parliament in Canada as well. I cannot quote myself on that precisely unless I find you guys a proper. I'm very nitpicky about finding proper sourcing for everything I say, so I can't pull it up while we're on stream here. But from what I've been reading on various sources, it's mostly happening in the UK, and it is starting to be seen in passage and parliament inside of Canada. I will try myself. I will try to find the source for it though,
Two
so I
things I would
can
like
just
to
not sound
add.
like I'm shit talking.
Even if it isn't happening on a government level, even if the Muslims that are entering the country just want it to be like, locally enforced by the quote unquote Muslims enforcing it and not the government enforcing it, even if they just want to enforce it, that's going a little bit too far. Like, you don't see other religions coming to other countries other than Muslims saying, oh, follow our law, follow our law. There's going to be like death punishments. That's crazy. Debate
Mhm.
Dean Withers or Parker? Maybe, but not for a $2 super chat.
No.
I will eventually. Specific UK laws, please, slash punitive actions. I mean, Chris, you realize that probably at least 30 to 40% of the mayors in the UK are Muslim. Maybe 30 to 40% of them are Muslim. Actually, let me say the actual numbers. I believe there is 30 mayors in the UK, and 6 or 7 of them are heavily religious, Sharia following mayors, Muslim mayors. 6 or 7 out of 30. So what is that? That's actually about 20%. 20% of the mayors in the UK. That's roughly about 20-25% of the mayors are, Muslim mayors in the UK. That is insanity. And now we're trying to get a Muslim mayor in New York City in the U.S. I'm from Florida originally, so luckily it's mostly conservative. We do have a bit of illegal immigrants, but at least they're not as bad as like people from like these Muslim countries. Now I have nothing wrong with immigrants, but when you push these crazy Muslim laws on people,
I was about to say, like someone there, he was asking like, oh, if we hate like Hispanics. I like a lot of my hatred for people coming from other countries never has to do with anything about race. Nothing about race. No, race does not tell anything about you. I have so many friends who are Indian and they've lived here X number of years and they're more Canadian than ever. It's entirely based on culture. It's entirely based on a cultural and religious takeover. It has nothing to do with your skin color. guys,
I
you're
100% agree.
you're
People
semi
will call
correct
you
about, but
racist though. If you don't
yeah,
want your country to be invaded with new laws taken over, you don't want to lose your jobs to, third worlders that are coming here technically illegal, rather you change the laws or not. They didn't come in with a visa, they didn't come in with a work permit or any of that shit. They just entered, on a boat. That to me is illegal.
exactly. And don't even get me started about the economics of it either.
Yeah, not to
Like,
mention they're probably taking a lot of Canadian benefits, and you guys already pay so much in taxes. They shouldn't be getting a dollar of that shit. I specifically, don't feel good about it when you live in a country where you got to pay a significant amount of tax dollars, especially like the UK, these European nations. And that France guy doesn't care. The French guy said, "Oh well, we invaded them, 200 years ago. La di da di da. We owe them. We owe them." Well, what about the countries that didn't invade nowhere? They're just minding their own business.
someone asked what is Sharia law. I just wanted to pull up a actual definition of it for everyone listening, just so they understand what it is.
Chris, cite a specific law. Don't just say counterpoint. The U.S. is cracking down with anti speech measures targeting anti Semitism, yet similar actions don't exist for Muslims. Thoughts?
I just wanted, sorry to interrupt again. Just for anyone who's curious, like to what is Sharia law, I'm just going to read out the exact quote I was just given just by simply looking it up here. Sharia is a comprehensive Islamic religious law derived from the Quran and teachings and the practices of the Prophet Muhammad, Sunnah and Hadith, guiding Muslims in spiritual, moral, and daily life matters. Rather than just being a criminal justice system, it provides an ideal way of life, outlining five categories of human acts: obligatory, my bad,
It's
recommended,
okay.
permitted, discouraged, and forbidden. While many Muslims worldwide follow aspects of Sharia law in their personal lives, its application by governments varies greatly, with some Muslim majority countries incorporating Sharia law into their legal systems and having no such laws. And that is a prime example of how it's being used in certain portions of the UK, certain portions of Ireland, and eventually we'll probably see it in Canada as well. Is that Sharia law is applicable to the justice system within the country it resides?
I just don't understand. If you want Sharia law, if you love Muslim countries so badly, if you're coming from, India, Pakistan, any of these Muslim countries, and you're saying you're coming to, the U.S. for, or Canada or one of these places for a better life, yada yada yada. There's other countries in the Middle East that have decent salaries. They might not be as high, depends what kind of job you're doing. They might not be as high as Canada or the U.S., but you can go to Saudi Arabia, you can go to, you can go to Saudi Arabia, you can go to United Arab Emirates, you can go to Qatar, you can go to Dubai, you can go to these places, and they love Muslims. They follow a lot of Sharia law, if not all of Sharia law, and they are high functioning, high paying, quote unquote, Muslim countries. So why would you come to, America, the Americas, North America, U.S., Canada, anywhere like this, and start doing that bullshit and want to change everyone to Muslim and Sharia law when you can already go to these countries that are Sharia law? Just mind blowing.
Exactly. And I mean, even something I really thought about, like when I really started getting into these topics too, is like, imagine how much less problems we would have with what we have discussed today if there was just mutual respect. If there was just mutual respect between different religious groups, like if people coming and bringing like Islam to Canada understood that Canada is a Christian country and respected that by as a minimal effort, I think half the problems we would see would just disappear.
Chris, I don't know what you're saying about anti-Semitism acts, yada yada yada, but I mean, like, you can already be charged for a hate crime for burning an LGBTQ flag, yada yada, all that stuff. So if there's a few laws about, hitting on Jewish people, I don't know what to tell you. There's always stuff in every country that you can or can't say. It doesn't matter if they have free speech. You can't go into school and start screaming bomb. bomb, or fire, fire. Same thing. You can't go into an airport and start screaming bomb and fire. It doesn't matter if you live in a free speech country or not. But we got 600 people in here right now. If you guys have any questions, comments, drop some super chats,
Wow.
double tap that screen, get the likes way up, guys. But it's just ridiculous. Like people will say, "Oh, we can't be racist," or they'll call you racist just because you want legal citizens in your country and not people that don't. These people don't respect Canadians. They don't respect Americans. They just want to suck up all the resources and take all the high-paying jobs and et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, I have no problem with immigrants. I like legal immigrants. Some of the best people in the US are immigrants. Elon Musk and other people like that, and great innovators and people that make all this shit are a lot of them are immigrants, but they're people that respect the country enough. They're not trying to come from another country and impose their laws, impose their religion, and push bullshit and do criminal shit. People will say, "Oh, what thing did an illegal immigrant do? What did an illegal immigrant do?" Well, what did they do? They came over on a boat without asking the country if they can enter legally. They didn't come from a port of entry. I believe that's international law. Even if Canada wants to say, "Well, the boat people are fine if they come on a boat, they're fine." But also, Chris wants to know what your Chris, you know he's Canadian, but this will be interesting.
Sure
What do you
thing.
think about Israel? What do you think about like the USA funding Israel? I don't know if Canada funds Israel, but I
I
know the
don't pay
US.
attention to that because that's not my country. Like same way the only reason I pay attention to the states is because we literally border it and we don't have a choice. Like nothing wrong with that at all as a whole, but just like when I think of Israel, I don't think of it economically. I don't think of it politically. I think of it religiously. Like I think of Christianity. I think that is where Christianity was born. Where that is where our God stood on the earth and walked with us, and that is where like what made Christianity is today. It's genuine, real biblical history resides there, and I think that is the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, I would like to visit Israel one day, but obviously there's a lot of conflicts going on right now, and I don't want to be in like any of that mess or any of that
hundred
stuff that's
percent.
going on.
My
But
grandfather, he went
support.
there when he was serving 20 years in the Canadian Armed Forces. He went there and he said it was one of the most beautiful countries he ever went to.
Yeah, I heard the same from a lot of people before. They really, really like Israel when they went and visited. There's a lot of beautiful places there. I know lots of people that visited Israel, but I haven't got to visit there yet. But the U.S. Liberty is a whole nother topic. But I will say many people argue that that boat was accidentally hit by Israeli forces. But I don't know. I would have to read up more on it and do my own research a bit more before I spoke on it.
Exactly. Um, Someone asked here. I just want to pull it back up here. Where'd it go? What does religion have to do with politics? I think that's a pretty good question. Um, I mean, if it were up to me, it wouldn't. But also think of it this way, and this is just from a standpoint from Christianity. It's just a standpoint from Christianity, Catholicism, etc. Uh, the law of the land was made by God. That is the best way that I could put it. If you want to make religion have involvement in like politics, but also there are a lot of religions that enforce politics. There's a lot of religions that enforce law, certain ones that we have mentioned today.
Yeah, that's a kind of a silly question to me. A lot of people say, "Oh, what does religion have to do with politics?" Well, my answer is that a lot of our laws are kind of similar to the Holy Commandments. I mean, pretty much all of our laws in the U.S. coincide with the Holy Commandments. Now we have a bunch of extra added laws. That is true, but just like a lot of Muslim countries, a lot of the Muslim countries' laws are literally from the Quran, and laws have a lot to do with politics.
Someone said when your ancestors came here to this land on a boat and killed, raped, stole land, etc. Talk about that. Um, well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm Native American, so I just
Yeah, I know. They always get shocked when people say this. They're like, "Oh,
like
what? What? I
like
thought you were."
my
Yeah.
mom had my dad had green eyes and my mom had blue from someone else, but I was raised on Native American beliefs. It's just that I chose to be Christian because I think that from what I chose Christianity entirely based on research, and also just like life was like, jokes aside, like life is just better. Life has just been better since I chose Christianity as like my following. I'm just happier all around.
I'm also a Christian as well, and I 100% agree with
Did you go to
what you've been
Sunday
saying.
service today?
No, I don't really go to church services too much, but I do attend like churches to like pray and worship and stuff like that. But when it comes to like Sunday services, I haven't really been to much Sunday services. But I grew up going to Christian schools and stuff like that.
That's nice.
I'm a
I went to mine
Protestant.
today.
Yeah.
We did a service. We did a service out in a like a campground, and like just you have the Canadian wilderness around you everywhere. The sun's just beaming through the trees. And then immediately after service we went out on the lake. We went tubing. We went like I learned how to use what's called a boogie board. It was funnest shit I've done in like probably a
Yeah,
good
I
year.
think I used one of those before. Yeah.
Yeah,
Church
just
is really good
like
community, a lot of fun
it
activities I
is.
found.
It is. It 100% is. And like people are always like, well, there's this and this and this and this you have to follow by being Christian, and like they're like that's why I don't choose Christianity, and I simply argue that point by saying you should just go to church just for one day, even if you don't believe in it, you should just go for one day, just experience it, feel it, meet the people there, see how you interact with the people. You don't have to ever go back. No one's expecting you to stay. No one's expecting you to leave. Just go for a day and experience it.
There's two things
Just
I'd like to talk
feel
about.
yourself
One
inside of like God's house just for a day.
First thing I'd like to add about church, but also I want to read this comment first. I came to the US legally, so yes, I have an issue with people coming illegally. I've had a lot of guests on before. I don't know if you know, like this liberal Democrat streamer who probably loves illegal immigrants. His name is Destiny. I had his ex girlfriend on. He's a U.S. guy. He's retarded. But I had his ex girlfriend on here, and she was also. I don't know if you ever heard of Fresh and Fit. She was also on that podcast. But I had the point is I'm making. Who gives a damn? I had many different people on here. I had an Occupy Wall Street guy. He was a little bit on the news and on CNN. I had him on here as well. But the point I'm making is I've had lots of people on the channel. I really wish I could have like a legal immigrant, like someone that came to the U.S. that really agrees with the values, the Christian values of the country. I would really like to have him on the stream so we can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
But the second
And
thing is about church. Someone today was telling me, "Oh, I've been having a bad time at church. I don't want to go back for a while." Well, my guess it's probably nothing to do with God. It's probably someone in there that might be bothering you or misleading you. I mean, you can always switch churches if you guys ever come across issues like that. You can always find like another Christian community.
someone asked, do you know what the difference between someone who is considered an illegal immigrant and a legal immigrant? Um, in Canada, I could explain that, but I think they're more wondering what the American one is. And I personally am not someone who could give the proper answer to that, so I want to hear it from you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll give you the. I'll tell you what a legal immigrant is in the U.S., and then you can tell me what a. I'll tell you what an illegal. I mean, I'll tell you what an illegal immigrant is, and then you can tell me what an illegal is in Canada. An illegal immigrant in the U.S. is either anyone who overstays their visa, which I'm not really too much against these people as long as they have they can assimilate to the culture, they have the same values. I still want them deported 100%. I want all illegal immigrants deported, but these are not my main quote unquote enemies or people that I don't like. My main problem is the people that jump the border from Mexico to the United States. Now these aren't even all Mexican people. These are a lot of Indians, Muslims, Pakistanians, other people from other South American countries and stuff like that. So anyone who jumps over the border, basically, anyone who jumps over the border or comes in a boat is instantly an illegal immigrant. If you come on a boat to the country without going to the port of entry, you're instantly an illegal immigrant. If you jump over the border without going to the border crossing, you're instantly an illegal immigrant. Now, if you come on a plane, if you overstay your visa, I believe for most places it's either 30 days you can stay in the US or you can stay in 90 days. If not, you're an illegal immigrant after that. So that is the definition in the US. Anyone who either overstays their visa, which is normally 30 days or 90 days, or anyone who enters the country without telling the government or going through the proper port of entry or anything like that. From a fellow lib, you guys are cringing out. These guys are just talking. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with you. They are cringing out in the chats, at least. We're doing good though.
yeah,
So
they gotta
tell
get a
me,
chat.
tell me
Get a
what's
chat.
an illegal immigrant in Canada?
An illegal immigrant is very similar, but it does have a few different aspects. Again, so an illegal immigrant is someone who has overstayed their visa. However, they will not be considered an illegal immigrant if they are able to do 2x things. Sorry, 3x things, 4x things. Number one is if they are registrable to work in Canada. If they can somehow get a job, even though they came illegally, they are officially legally staying there. Number two is if they can get into school legally. If they can get into school legally, but come illegally, they are then, it it no longer, like, they're dismissed from
So
any
that's
law
how it
state.
differs from the US, I guess, because if you
Yeah, if you
enter
can
illegally,
find a
you're always
service that you can
illegal.
do for Canada, if you can find a service you can do for Canada, it's no longer illegal. Same follows for two other things, which is getting married to a Canadian citizen, not a permanent resident, but a citizen, um, or going to having a baby in Canada with
What?
a citizen, not a permanent resident.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
They made it basically easy as possible. It's easier than it is in Europe, damn near, basically.
Yes. Yeah. That's why we've had such a drastic increase um, in like a population. And the sad part is that though a lot of them are legal in the method that they use to get here, a lot of them are still following that point A I made, where
They entered
they
illegally or overstayed their visa.
yeah, but point A as in finding a job. And what happens is a lot of them just buy stores. They get credit lines and they buy stores. Half of the stores in my town are owned by people who are on work visas or are just finishing them up now.
And then they get a permanent stay once they buy a store on credit.
Yep, they get a permanent residency, and then after 10 years, it's a citizenship.
So how the hell do they get credit? They just can come in the country and say, "Here, I want to apply for credit," and there's like no qualifications or what?
They have to come with enough money to the only way that they qualify is they have to come with enough money to leave. So if they have the money to leave, they're let in because the government's like, oh, well, they have enough to go back, so we're not going to worry about it.
Jesus Christ, that's
Yeah,
a disaster.
yeah, and it's affecting our economy now. It's affecting the economy in Canada. We are currently the lowest we've ever been for our G7 economic stats. We are
Holy
50
cow!
to 75 because this is irrelevant to immigration, but because of the way that they've been handling the Canadian economy, we are about 50 to 75% closer to the USSR than we ever have been before.
Holy shit! So you think you're going into communism, eh?
Well, it's already been seen a few times, not a lot with Mark Carney. Well, actually, sorry, a lot with Mark Carney, but mostly with Justin Trudeau. So if you're unaware, Mark Carney was the personal advisor to Justin Trudeau in terms of finance for Canada. So he has already been in charge of Canada's economy for 10 plus years now. And now he's our prime minister, which means he's in charge of everything. He's our commander in chief. Sorry, I just saw a super chat come up. Has Canada deported Jessica Yanov yet? I'm not familiar with the name. I'm going to have to research that before I can answer what that means. Um, but yeah, Canada is the last on the list of nations in the West GDP growth right now, and yet we're one of the richest. Like, make that make sense. We are so. I'll say it again for everyone to understand it. We are one of the richest countries, but we are the lowest GDP in all of the Western world.
Jesus Christ. That's all
Yeah.
because of all the poor Indians that don't work. Damn, is that Trump on your shirt?
Yes, it is. I got this in Vegas.
Damn, Vegas is
Some
sick.
corner store, some corner store just was just selling it, and they're like $5. I'm like, all right. So I just took it.
This might be a little bit of a triggering topic, but what do you think about Trump? And also, what do you think about, I don't think Canada will join the U.S., but what do you think about a super nation?
um, I mean, while I'm okay with the idea of being American, because I want to be protected under the amendment, um, I've always been on the fence about like Trump. He's a very, very great negotiator. He's a great businessman. He's run businesses for many years. He's made a lot of money for the businesses he's run for many years. He's made a lot of money for the states in and of a whole. I just think that he's not at a professional stance when it comes to political talks. Well, sorry. I guess I don't think he has a lot of the professionalism I would personally look for in someone. Keep in mind, he was the best option. Like another example is like our conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre. He turned the entire 2025 election for Canada into a cultural war, and that was really bad, but he was the best option we had, which meant that that is who we as conservatives voted for. I personally am on the fence on whether or not Donald Trump could be comparable as well, where he took the Democrat versus Republican voting as a semi form of cultural war. It became unprofessional. It became kind of chaotic at a point. Keep in mind that is also the fault of Kamala Harris. That's not just Donald Trump. Everyone was at fault in that scenario. Like I think if I'm looking for someone who's going to be my president, I need them to be sharp. I need them to be quick to point. I need them to be intelligent. I need them to be intensely focused on what they're doing all the time.
Kamala
That
is
is the point.
definitely not intensely focused. I know she turned down a Joe Rogan interview because she demanded
Yes,
that she
she
demanded the
demanded that
interview to be only an hour long.
it was going to be actually, I believe it was in the range of 45 minutes. It was going to be entirely edited by her own editorial team. All the footage would be confiscated, and she would only post what she allows.
Yeah, that
By
is
she, I mean
insanity.
her campaign, not her. Her campaign controls her. Her entire campaign controls her.
Yeah, not to mention she got caught paying a shit ton of influencers on TikTok like $50,000 to like promote her and yada yada et cetera et cetera. Trump didn't do any of that.
I think they
I mean, I'm
spent
sure he
how much
paid
did they
some
spend on
people, but he
Oprah?
wasn't like out there doing that kind of shit. She only did one or two podcasts. Trump did like 50.
Yeah, and she had the time to. Like, she could have done it.
And she could have gone on Joe Rogan. I think she might have done a bit better, but like no, she demanded that it be edited by her team 45 minutes. Like what kind of shit is that? She can't sit there for 3 hours like Trump can. He's 20 years older than her.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I paid a lot of attention to like the 2024 elections for the U.S., but other than that, I keep up with the more bigger like world policies that are coming out of the states, but otherwise like the internal stuff in regarding the states, like I can always take a guess what's going on when it comes to economics, diplomacy, immigration, etc. But I don't actually keep up with it because I'm more focused towards Canada and its current economic collapse right now.
How long can the prime minister in Canada run for? How many terms and
Forever,
how many years?
forever. They can run
Forever.
forever. They
Holy
have to be
shit.
reelected every 4 years, but they can run forever.
Why haven't you wifed up Lauren Southern?
I don't know who that is. Sorry, I keep saying I'm going to look at these people. Allow me to look up Lawrence Southern.
I'll
I
look it
am
up too if you want. Oh, you got your computer
Lawrence
right there.
Southern, Canadian YouTuber, is a Canadian alt-right YouTuber and political activist. In 2015, she ran as the Libertarian Party candidate for the Canadian federal election, finishing last in her riding with 535 votes. Not surprised. Finishing and
Bro,
Southern
look what
worked
I found
for
about
Rebel
her. This is
Media
the first
until
thing that popped
2017.
up. Andrew
I'm
Tate
just looking at
choking
like the
Lauren
Wikipedia page here.
Southern.
Super far right, but hot. That's not terrible. No, I
Andrew
have a
Tate
very
accused of S.A.ing and choking her. That is crazy. It's like
wow.
any person you look up. It's like Andrew Tate sexually assaulted her. You're
Yeah,
like,
I
holy
don't keep up with
Christ.
Anderson anymore. I know he was big when he like I kind of kept on it up until he got released from prison, and after that, I kind of like his whole arc of storytelling kind of fell off for
He
me, and I was
fell
like,
off.
okay,
Yeah, he fell off.
yeah, like
Also,
I
he
wasn't
might be
into
he
all
might
that
actually
whole
be
like.
guilty of some of these crimes, huh?
I was just gonna say, like, I wasn't all into like the whole like, oh, X number of reasons why you are going to be a peak male because of Andrew Tate. Like,
Oh fuck no,
I wasn't
hell
into
no.
any of that kind of stuff at the
Andrew
time.
Tate is not a peak male. That is for sure, in my opinion. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
he's successful, he's rich, and he's
my only
works out.
pro
That's
to
probably
him,
it,
my only
huh?
pro to him is that he does like to show the good sides of his religion, like Islam. Like he is very good at promoting the good sides of Islam. There are many good sides to Islam. There's a many, like I know, like that friend I mentioned who is from Vancouver. He's Iranian and he believes in Islam. And I asked him like, oh well, what do you believe in? And he gave me these things he believes in. I'm like, that's actually really beautiful.
Yeah, I like Iranian people. I've met lots of them before.
Yeah, he's lived here for many years. He came here legally. Like that was before all the shit in Iran was happening. His family came here legally. They basically are more Canadian than me sometimes. Like that's what I think is a peak immigrant is someone who is willing to go to a country and in like become part of that country through means of integrating themselves into what society is already like.
Yeah, you have to assimilate to the society you immigrate to. You can't just be like, well, I
Exactly.
just moved to Canada. We gotta follow Sharia law and we gotta, follow our Hindu customs and all this, nonsense. I
Ooh,
mean, you can
someone's
still have your
talking
own
about
customs. That's fine, but like, you're in Canada.
talking about Canadian healthcare. That's an interesting one because here's the like so as everyone knows, Canadian healthcare is free. Kind of. We have to pay for our healthcare through taxes, whether we like it or not, and it does not matter how many times we go to the hospital in a year. We still pay the exact amount that everyone else does. It varies from year to year. It varies from age to age. It varies from insurance to insurance. Um, I'm a really good example of someone who has really, really good. Do we get free dental care? No, we do not get free dental care. We do not get free eye care. We do not get free ear care. We do not get any of the optometrists. You know what I mean by optometrists, obviously. We don't get many optometrist free care because all of our optometrists are private companies. So they're private corporations that have to do it for us because free healthcare doesn't allow them to have specialty roles. And because of that, it costs a lot of money to get things like eye care, ear care, etc. So we have to get really, really good health insurance here. And if you don't have really, really good health insurance, you're paying a lot. Like I used to have really bad teeth back in the day. I still have like a few bad teeth. They're still like I got like a crazy gap right here. It was like $700 per tooth to get completely like done up. I had micro cavities because of hereditary
Yeah, it's like
disease.
the same as the U.S. Honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I had really
If
bad
not, well,
hereditary
probably even
diseases
more
in
here.
my teeth. I had I had really bad problems with like the crookedness in the back. I had all four of my wisdom teeth poking out, and it was $700 per tooth, completely
Oof.
covered by insurance. But $700 per tooth, almost every single tooth was done, and then I had all four of my wisdom teeth done, and it was $1,000 to get two sets removed. So I had all four done in one operation. So that's $2,000. Gap is
Jesus.
not a sign of bad teeth. I believe that too, and that's why I never got them done. That's exactly
Yeah,
why
I
I
used
never
to
got
have a
my
gap
gap
when I
done.
was younger, but I don't know what happened. It kind of just went away as my adult teeth came in and my baby teeth left.
Everyone who I've ever talked to always says, "Oh, it's personality." So I'm like, okay, I'll keep it.
It is personality.
Yeah. What were we? Healthcare. We were talking about healthcare. Um, a really bad thing you will start to see a really bad thing happen when you take into consideration free healthcare. Number one, anyone can walk into a hospital at any time they want, get right into an emergency room. Doesn't matter what's going on. They will they will be like, okay, go into this bed. We will come to you when we have the time to, and then we will assess you based on your problem. Um, so what happens is you have X number of people that don't actually have emergencies go into these beds, and they have nothing wrong with them. And then you have this one person come in who's got a broken arm and it's dangling, and oh shit, we need to get this splinted like ASAP, but we don't have enough space. We can't, because there's not enough room for them. There's not enough spaces for them because X number of people are taking up X number of beds. Now you have the problem of too many people in a hospital. This is coming from someone who has a lot of people in my family who work in healthcare. My mother works in healthcare. My auntie, who I'm very close with, works in healthcare. They all work in healthcare. I know many people who are going into healthcare. I have personal best friends going into healthcare. All nurses, by the way. None of them are doctors. All of them are nurses because that is where the real money is. But the big problem is there's so much to do per nurse. Um, the way that healthcare works in most of the world is one nurse is assigned to X number of patients. A very good average, like a very proper average, is let's say 6 patients to one nurse. My mother, who works 12-hour shifts every single day, is usually about 12 to 1. So she is one nurse working on 12 different people at once, and each other nurse is working on 12 different people at once.
Holy cow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And someone just said that's what a waiting room is for, and that's true. Waiting rooms are meant for that, but what happens when you have that waiting room fill up with so many people that you can't address them? Then people might say, oh, make bigger waiting rooms, or make a bigger ER, or make bigger ICU. But the problem that arises is you run out of space, you run out of funding, you run out of that, and then you have more and more people who don't actually need healthcare coming in thinking they need healthcare instead of going to an urgent care clinic. You have so many people who go and she's told me so many stories of people who go into the ER, and it's like, oh, I have a headache because I took heroin. Like, we have a terrible drug epidemic in our town, and it's been like that forever. It's been like that forever. And so many people who are currently suffering from the drug epidemic will go into the ER because they're high off their balls and don't understand that they don't need health care, they need rehab. And then you have X number of beds in the ICU, X number of Quest beds, X number of ER beds that are filled up with so many
Is
people
rehab
that
free?
don't need it. Is rehab free? No. Again, rehab is private corporations here. So everything is done with money and insurance.
Someone said my daughter had all her dental issues taken care of in Eastern Europe for $300. Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect job. I, I will agree. I've been to Eastern Europe, many times, traveled to many different countries. I've heard of people going to very good dentists, like, actually a luxury place. It's not like a Soviet communist kind of looking building. It's like very modern, and they'll say like, "Yeah, I got a pain removal and a wisdom teeth taken out for $60."
Someone made a point here. Then move local funding from cops and push them into rehabs and fund it through local
Have a
and
good
property
night,
taxes.
Brian.
So one thing I will teach about Canada is 90% of Canada is a federal police system. There are small municipalities that hold their own personal police forces, and also large cities that are so big they need their own personal police forces. But 90% of Canada is ran by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or the RCMP, as many know them as. And because of that, the funding for police is not done through provincial, municipal uh, taxes, etc. It is done through federal taxes. The government is who pays the police force, because the police force is it's a federal system. The same way you guys have the FBI. Ours is essentially a mixture of the FBI, state police, sheriffs, etc. All of that is one single unit and system in Canada. And actually, personally, I think it's a very
lesser flawed system. Everything's ran through one single union. Everything's ran through one single like strong police force.
Do the
They
cops
get
get good
direct
pay?
federal funding. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but do cops get good pay?
As far as I'm aware, again, that grandfather of mine who served 20 years, he became a civilian officer after that, and says that he had great pay, and he says that his pension from them was pretty good. He's retired. He lives on like three pensions now. He's a multimillionaire. I don't know how he did it. He just lived a
Jesus.
good life.
My wisdom tooth
Um,
got removed, ran me $1,500 in the U.S. I believe it, bro. You could have flew to
yeah,
Canada, got it cheaper for maybe almost half the price.
yeah, but oh wait, is that for all of their teeth, or
No,
that
just
just one?
one, just one. My
Yeah,
one
so
wisdom tooth.
two sets, like one set being the bottom and one set being the top, each cost me $1,000. So that's $2,000 for my wisdom teeth removal operation, and it was an anesthetized operation too. So you need to pay for anesthesiologist pay, you need to pay for like surgery fees in Canada. You need to obviously pay the fee to get the teeth removed. So it
They
racks up
said a
fast if you
couple
don't have
years ago I might need to get one of my wisdom teeth taken out, but it doesn't really bring me pain. It doesn't really hurt me, and it's been like 2 or 3 years. Honestly, I think it was just a money grab for the dentist. I'm not gonna have it removed unless it's hurting me.
exactly.
But he kept trying to push me. He's like, "Come on, you might want to get your wisdom teeth removed before it starts hurting you." I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, to be fair with him, it was feeling weird that week, but after that, like ever since then, it's been perfectly fine. But I definitely wouldn't have it removed to in the U.S. Like I'd rather go to Canada or I'd rather just go to Europe mostly and get my teeth worked on and
I
done.
advise everybody, if you're going to have anything done with your body that is outside of ears, eyes, and mouth, go to Mexico. Go to Mexico
Yeah.
for everything. The healthcare in Mexico is phenomenal. I've never had like I used to be really, really, really fat back in the day. Like I still got a lot of flubbery shit in my neck here. At my most, I was almost 300 pounds. That was just entirely based on lifestyle problems. I got what was called a gastric sleeve cut, which is where they cut off a portion of your stomach and you pass food through your system faster and you don't intake as many calories, proteins, etc. And
Does that cut
it
your
was probably
stomach too, or
the
does that affect your stomach in the surgery? I think I heard of that before.
it does affect your stomach afterwards. Like I can't eat as much as I used to, or just in general I can't eat a lot. Like I need to eat less. Um, I need to eat less. I need to wait out how much I'm eating longer. Like time wise, I need to wait longer on how much I'm eating. And because of it, I have a really irritable bowel. So there's obviously downsides to that, but it's probably the best healthcare of anything I've had done with my body.
Someone, Burnell said, "Don't." Well, don't worry, Burnell. You can take his recommendations about going to Mexico, but I don't think I'm gonna have my teeth worked on in Mexico. I've had it done in Europe before, and they did a really good job. I mean, they didn't do much dental work. All they did was cleaning, but the cleaning was a lot cheaper, and I was really happy. They had, honestly, to be honest with you, they had like more modern technology than Florida, and they, didn't charge like they charge like 15% of what my normal cleanings would be. Like in cleanings, I don't know how much they charge in cleanings, but man, they'll charge you like $200, $150. This is gonna sound
And
crazy,
also,
but one time I had a cleaning that cost $1,500. $1,500. They said, "Oh, a deep cleaning, a deep cleaning." I was like, "This seems like horseshit."
yeah. Um, I also recommend rehabbing in Mexico. Are you familiar with ibogaine? Have you ever heard of ibogaine? I think that's how you pronounce it, ibo or idogaine.
What is
Let
this?
me
Some kind
look
of
up.
rehab drug or something? No, I never heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really interesting case study that you should look into. But ibogaine is this psychoactive andol drug that is currently being used on people suffering from traumatic stress disorders and etc. like certain disorders that relate to trauma, stress, and pretty much veterans is the point I'm getting to. Um, but it has been found to be the most effective psychoactive drug that has ever been produced that creates rehab. And people who are crazy drug users, people who are addicted to pain meds, people who suffer from PTSD, um, return to pre-traumatic states within 2 days of use.
I don't know. I recommend trying whatever you can get your hands on,
Exactly.
especially if you're dealing with bad things like heroin, and fentanyl, and all kinds of that bullshit. Yeah, you can try anything. You
Exactly.
can even try psychedelic things if you want. I mean, it's a lot better than freaking heroin.
I always
What
tell
about
people,
ketamine?
like,
I'll be honest with you. Ketamine seems like not really a thing that you would want to try if you're trying to get off drugs. Because I know people get addicted
ketamine
to
isn't.
ketamine.
Ketamine won't help you get off of drugs. Ketamine will just put you on drugs longer. It's an addictant. Same way that like people defend caffeine as not being an addictant. It is an addictant and it is a drug and it is bad for
It
you.
is a drug. I agree. It's addictive. I'm addicted to
I'm
caffeine.
actually 6 days away from 1 year off of caffeine, and I'm really excited for that day.
Awesome, man. Good job. Yeah, I'm super addicted to
Yeah.
caffeine. I don't know if you know this, but ketamine is actually legal in the U.S. You can be prescribed it rather easily, and you can go to ketamine therapy. But I only think you should do that if you're like severely messed up.
Krusty said I'm recommending illegal drugs. If that's referring to ibogaine, that's a point I was going to get to. Is that the government of America or the government of the U.S. back in 20 somewhere
Is
in the
it legal
2020s.
in Mexico?
It's legal in Mexico and Canada. It is illegal in the United States, and despite it being one of the safest, sorry, it's not the safest psychoactive. There are side effects during rehab that need to be monitored, but it is one of the most effective healing psychoactives in the world, and it is illegal in the United States. And that was
And
made
it's
that
legal
way.
where he is, guys. You heard him say it first.
Yes, yes, and I've met two people in my lifetime who have been on ibogaine, and one of them was someone I knew who served 6 months in Ukraine as an infant here and actually made it out. Which, by the way, that's if you guys
They
know
have
anything about what
Canadian
actually goes on.
troops in Ukraine?
No, no, no. He joined Foreign Legion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he joined Foreign Legion, and just the fact that he made it out is baffling to me. If you know anything about what happens in Ukraine right now, it's an electronics war now. It's anyone who goes there to shoot a gun is gonna die, and he went there to shoot a gun and he survived. He lived to tell
That
the
is
tale. But
mind-boggling. Foreign
but a lot
Legion
of
is also
people,
one fucking hardcore ass military group. I can't lie. Like I would
it
love
is
to have someone on
because
here from Foreign Legion.
I mean, I have you on Discord now, so I could maybe get you in contact with him. But he did ibogaine when he came back. He like before I talk about that ibogaine, like I'll tell you about how when he came back a new human being. He had no military experience at all. The thing about Foreign Legion is anyone can join it. You don't need experience. You don't need to be fit. You don't need to do any of that. That's the one downside to Foreign Legion is anyone can join it.
Yeah, they let
They're
criminals. A lot
literal.
of people that were in the U.S. military, well, not in the U.S. military, but a lot of people that have criminal backgrounds, they don't have any other options. They want to join the military. They can't join the U.S. military. They go to the Foreign Legion.
Also, someone here, Tim Harsh, said tobacco leaves have healing properties, not nicotine. That is absolutely true. If you have some form of tobacco that does not have nicotine and you're using it herbally, not smoking it, smoking is always going to be bad. It is carcinogenic. That's how you get cancer. But if you find herbal methods to consume tobacco, it is a very healing thing. That is absolutely right. Back to my friend who went to Ukraine. So he has no experience in combat. He has a traumatic brain injury from a car crash that he and I were in. So he was already the worst candidate. But they let him in because they let anyone into the Ukraine Foreign Legion. I don't know if you know this, but the actual instructions on how to join Ukrainian Foreign Legion is to fly to Poland and literally just walk through the border. Just walk right through. And they will have an administrative office where you sign up for UFL. So he served for 4 months. He was a combat technician, which meant that he worked on a lot of IT, and he also was an infanteer as well. So he shot people, or at least that's what he was intended to do. I don't know if he shot people. I don't think that's my business, because you don't ask veterans how many people they've killed. But I recommended him to Ibogaine because going to Mexico, getting it done was less than 4,000 Canadian dollars. It's like a 2-week rehab where you stay at this beautiful resort in Mexico. You are safely administered Ibogaine. You are watched by medical professionals at all time. He came back and he was completely back to normal again. Like when he had come back from Ukraine, I was heartbroken. It was terrifying just how different he was. He was like shaky all the time. He was like always he could never hold conversation, because something that he told me about in Ukraine is, if you're not always talking over each other, you're never going to get your point out, and you're never going to ever have the chance to get it out again. That's something he taught me about in the front line, is like, if you're in war, you get what you have to say out, or you don't. So he has this constant problem where he's like constantly talking over everyone as if he's talking to himself. He can't hold conversation. He is jittery and always watching the sky, because again, he was an IT tech, which meant that he was working with drone operators, and every single time drones would go around, he would freak the fuck out. He went and did the iGame program in Mexico with, I can find you guys who it was. It cost him less than $4,000 to endure it. And he was gone for 2 weeks. He came back. He was completely back to normal. It was amazing. It was genuinely amazing what happened to him. It's like everything that hurt him in Ukraine, everything that happened to him, all of his tics and problems that he developed in those 6 months were gone. Just gone.
He was only there for 6 months?
Yeah, he served there for 6 months.
Damn, why the hell did he do that and not join the Canadian military?
He was ineligible because of his traumatic brain injury.
And he really wanted to join the military? Is that why he did it, or was it for money?
I don't know. I never asked him that. I kind of like, if you ask someone why they want to, it's asking someone why they want to become a combat person versus asking someone why they went to war are two different questions, and I believe you never asked the question of why did you go to war, because everyone who goes to Ukraine Foreign Legion goes there to go to war.
Yeah, that is craziness. He's not Ukrainian, is he?
Nope. He's American, and like he's American origin, Caucasian, and he lives in Canada.
Damn, that is insanity.
Yeah. We've been running for an hour now. I work at 12 in the morning.
Okay,
So
I'll let you go. Appreciate you coming on, though. If you know any other guests that would like to come on, definitely recommend me. I'd like to talk to that guy. I'm not gonna ask him about too much crazy stuff like you said, but yeah, I'd like to talk with him. If you can get me in contact with him, maybe.
Yeah, for sure, man. Have a great day, and thank you
Yeah,
everyone
have a
for
great night,
watching
man.
too. Take
Peace
care.
out. Thank you for joining. All right, guys. I think that's it for tonight. I appreciate all of you. Hit that like, subscribe button, and yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Any last questions? Any last comments you want to say before I end this? Andrea, I'll text you. It is very late here, Matthew. I messaged you. I said tomorrow. But possibly tonight. Possibly tonight. I'll message you and think about it. Maybe I'll be back. Maybe I won't. This guy really wants to be on here. Any final questions? Any final super chats? Anything you guys want to say? Peace, Brunel. Peace. Thank you. Any final things you guys want to say? Congratulations to us for 14,000 subscribers. Can anyone drop a super chat to that? Thank you, John Gotti. Thank you, Slav. 14,000 subscribers. Any super chats to celebrate 14,000 subscribers, guys? If not, it's cool. Have a good night. Any final questions? Anything anyone wants to say? All right, guys. To 14K more, gang. Hell yeah, we're going to get to 14K more. Hell, we're going to get to 100K by next year. 100K subscribers, 2026. 30K by the end of this year, I'm thinking. I think we can get to 30K. Thanks, Gotti. John Gotti. Congrats! Hey, thank you, Brunel. Thank you. Yeah, my goal is to get to at least over 30,000 by the end of the year, and hopefully 100,000 by next year. I think we're on track to do that. We're growing roughly 4 to 5,000 subscribers a month. W Brunel, W. Come on, chat. W Brunel, W Brunel. Yeah, 14,000 subscribers. I think we started this month off with around 10,000 subscribers. Now we're at 14,000 subscribers. So maybe by the end of the year we'll have over 30,000, possibly 20,000 by the end of by next month, and possibly 15,000 maybe by next Sunday. Maybe, fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Bernaldo. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Have a great night, guys. Any final words? Any final thoughts? Any congratulations super chats from anyone else? That is disgusting. Term. W chat. W chat. The news has been a little bit slow this weekend. The only thing I've been hearing about is freaking Donald Trump in Chicago with the Navy forces. I mean the National Guard forces. Sorry. Peace out though, guys. Have a great night. Maybe live a little bit later, probably not, but we'll see. Peace, guys. Peace.